I am excited to be here to speak to you, and I'm excited for both of these series. I'm wrapping up one today, and then the one that I have next in October, because they're all about Jesus. And I found that there's no single topic that's more refreshing, endearing, challenging, and inspiring all at the same time, like Jesus. It's just when the Son of Man's lifted up, all nations will stream to him. He is the Son of Man, and he is the Son of God, and cuts right to the heart of who we are. And so whatever you're facing, whatever you're going through, the most right thing you can do is fix your eyes on Jesus. And I hope this series helps to stimulate that within you. Oh, but before I go on, I do want to mention this. Jonathan Hogard asked me to mention this and put this slide up here, that on October 1st, I'm doing this special series, and I'm doing it primarily like in studio format in the Arvada building for Disciples TV. They're putting together like an online library of different series from around the world, and I'm going to do my very favorite series on Increase Our Faith. And so I'm super excited to do this. They're hiring professionals to record it. It's going to be set up really well, and we want to have a live studio audience so it comes across more real. And so there is limited capacity. But if you're interested in going to that, it's October 1st, 3:30 up in Arvada, 3:30 to 6 up in Arvada. And I think you can go to our website. Is Jonathan in here? Go to our website or contact Jonathan for details about that, because it is limited. But anyway, put in a little plug there. So last week I began a two-part mini-series looking at Jesus again, but looking at two different three-word phrases that Jesus shared that capture in a very special, effective way his essence, his being, his passion, and his heart, his person, his ambition, his motivation. And so one of these was at the very beginning of his ministry, and the other is at the end of his ministry. So last week we talked about the one that was at the beginning of his ministry. You remember what it was? Those three words? I am willing. What a cool phrase that is. And we saw in Jesus that it was not only what he said to the leper, but it was really what he was saying at the start of his ministry, and it's indeed the way he lived every day of his ministry, and is even again stated in a different way at the very end of his ministry when he wrestled in the garden with the most climactic challenge of all, when he wrestled and finally just resolves, not my will, but your will be done. I am willing. Rise, let's go. Here comes my betrayer. And so this was really the way he lived. And if you didn't hear the lesson last week, okay, you can go on our website. It should be posted up there now, along with the slideshow, denverchurchofchrist.org. All the teens are at Elitch's there, which, man, that's fun. I wish I was at Elitch's. Okay, having church out at Elitch's, that's a cool idea. But I wonder if any of the teens are going to listen to that. Maybe what I'll do, okay, don't tell your kids, okay, don't tell them, but if any of them listen to the sermon and say something good about it to me, then I'll give them a Starbucks gift card, okay? But I'm just going to see if they do it on their own, okay? It's like a teen test, okay, to see if they're going to go back and listen to the website, okay? So anyway, I'll keep that in my mind. Okay, now we're going to look at the other short phrase from the end of Jesus' ministry. Three words that, again, capture his essence, his being, his passion, his person, in an extra special way. Any ideas what that might be? It is finished. Who is right back there? Okay. I'll think about giving you a Starbucks gift card. Okay. If no teens claim it, it's yours. Okay, this is a cool phrase. It is finished. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Two cool bookend type verses. I am willing at the beginning. It is finished at the end. They go hand in hand. Let's look at the passage that contains these words. Jesus is on the cross, and it says, he said, I am thirsty. Thought about that one, but it didn't make the list. I am thirsty. A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant, and lifted it to Jesus' lips. When he had received the drink, Jesus said, it is finished. With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Jesus was on the cross, as we know, He prayed all night about his decision to go through it all. And remember again, he came to the same conclusion with which he started his ministry. I am willing. He then proceeded to be abandoned by his friends, whipped, beaten, tortured, ridiculed, spat upon by his enemies, pinned to big planks of wood, and hung by the weight of his wrists and his feet with nails piercing them, where he continued to be ridiculed. Yet amazingly, even during all that torture, he never lashed out and he never gave in. But rather, he chose at that time to continue to do what he'd come to the earth to do, to minister to others and to love others and to serve others. He helped one of the thieves crucified next to him to have a personal relationship with God and go to heaven. He made sure his mom was going to be taken care of in his absence, and that his best friend was going to be taken care of by his mom. He asked for forgiveness on behalf of his torturers, and then he uttered these 3 words: "It is finished." What was finished? What does that mean, it is finished? When he says those final words, it is finished, you ever stop and wonder what exactly was going through his head and his heart? Yeah, the pain was finished as he breathed his last. Yeah, the emotion, the tumult, all that he's going through, it's finished. But so much more than that was finished. What was finished? Literally the longest standing, most intricate and elaborate plan that the world had ever experienced and that God himself had ever contrived. The eternal plan for the redemption of man. The restoration of man to a pure and peaceful relationship with the Father. All of that most intricate, incredible plan for the ages was finally finished. That plan, though contrived from the beginning of the recreation of the world after the flood of Noah, all hinged on Jesus himself. The Son of God, God himself, coming down to the earth in the form of a baby of virgin birth, growing up in a poor home, and never, ever committing a sin. Not a puberty sin, not an adult sin, not a radical, rebellious teenage sin. Just no sin ever came out. Being rejected and ridiculed, ignored and abandoned, framed and blamed, bruised and bloodied. He never, ever committed even the slightest of sins against man or against God. So what was finished? What did he mean when he said, "It is finished"? Perfection. The perfect plan and the perfect life was finally finished, was achieved. Now every man and woman for all time could have the opportunity to have the same pure and eternal and intimate relationship with God that Jesus himself had experienced from the very beginning of time. Remember his prayer? God, I pray they'll be one just as you and I are one. And so now he says it's finished. Now everybody can be one with the Father, just like I've been from the beginning of time. It is finished. Perhaps the most powerful, pregnant with meaning phrase that Jesus ever uttered, maybe that the world has ever heard. It is finished. So what do we do with that? 2,000 years later, we read these words and think about them, see them flash up on the screen. It is finished. Take about 5 minutes to summarize what it is, and even in that 5 minutes you go, whoa, that's pretty extreme. But what do we do with that? Hearing about how incredible it is, how special it is, how powerful, how pregnant with meaning. What do we do with the fact that it is finished? What's an appropriate way to respond to Jesus' words here? Well, I think the most appropriate way to respond is in the same way we responded last week, when we considered those other three words, I am willing. And we pose the same question, well, what does that mean for us? How do we respond to the fact that Jesus was willing and Jesus is willing? And we went through a few things, a few appropriate ways to respond. I think we can use that same outline to respond today when we face this endearing phrase, it is finished. I think first way to respond, appreciate him. Appreciate him. He didn't just do all this for mankind, though the sins of mankind were enough to warrant it. And his love for the entire world was certainly enough to prompt him to do it. But he didn't just do it for all of mankind. He did it for you. And he did it for me. The fact is, if I or if you were the only person on the planet, he would have done the same thing. Because your sins and my sins are enough to drive him to have to come up with some radical plan so we could have a relationship with the Father. And his love for me and his love for you is enough that he's driven to do whatever it takes to go through all that bruised and bloodied and all this rejection and ridicule and all these other things. He loves us enough, he loves you enough, he loves me enough that he would gladly go through all of that for the joy set before him, just so you could have the opportunity to have a relationship with God. He didn't even know if we would. But he goes, I'm willing to do that just so one person, so you could have the opportunity to experience the eternal joy of a personal and intimate relationship with God. Your sins demanded it, and his love for you drove it. He wanted you to be forgiven of all of your sins. He wanted you to have a personal and special relationship with him. He wanted you to have a secure and eternal home in heaven. He finished it. It is finished for you. Appreciate it. The next, allow him. Allow him. If you were here last week, you remember me talking about the same point. Appreciate him, allow him. And under the allow him, I talked about my squirrels in my backyard that I really want to feed, and I want them to trust me, and I want them to come up and eat out of my hand. My wife does not want them to do that. John Kurth is like, I've killed 90 of them in my backyard or something. I'm like, 90? Geez. And like, don't come over my house, you know. But right now I'm in a love affair with my squirrels, and so I want them to come up and eat out of my hand and stuff, so I'm training them, and I'm just like, allow me to love you, little furry friend. And that's how I feel, and they're like, I love you, but I'm afraid. I want some nuts, but I'm afraid. And you can see it in their face going back and forth. Rochelle sent me the funniest little video where there's like a squirrel eating nuts in someone's backyard, and it has a voice coming out. He's like chewing, and he's like, I love you, you're my favorite neighbor. I come to your house all the time. I will come back. Thank you for putting nuts out for me. I'm like, that's totally what they think about me. I love that. So I love that. And I made the point, allow him. Allow Jesus. Don't be afraid. Trust him. But I thought of it this way, in this context, another illustration, that I can compare it to allowing a doctor to perform surgery on you. How many of you have had a general sedation where you're knocked out and you had surgery? Okay, raise your hand. Wow, we got a lot of sick people in the house, okay? So we had a lot of us, the majority of us. That's pretty interesting. Well, you think about that, it's pretty scary stuff. The first time you're hooked up to that IV, and you go, that anesthesiologist is getting paid a lot of money. You know why they're getting paid a lot of money? To pay for the lawsuits that come from the people that don't ever wake up from this. And you're like, man, that's a lot. Their malpractice is the highest. And this is like racing through my cynical mind, as I'm getting hooked up right there. And the doctor just wants to go in and remove something or stitch something or fix something or implant something, repair something, heal something. He's trained all his life just to help you. But you got to trust and allow him When I first moved to Bangkok, there was this guy that came over for a summer. He was like a summer student, which is a cool thing to consider, college students just spending a summer in Thailand or summer in the mission field. Some did that years ago, and we're trying to resurrect that again, perhaps even next summer to do something like that. But this guy's name was Tim. Frank, you remember Tim? I don't know if you remember Tim, but he came over there and Mark Dickinson was there, and Tim was from Los Angeles, and he was a great guy, helped us a lot, reached out to a ton of people and so forth, even though he didn't speak Thai. But at one point, he dislocated his shoulder playing volleyball, and it was extremely painful, and he's a tough guy, but he was in a lot of pain. And we took him to the emergency room, and emergency room in Bangkok, as Jim and Drew can attest, it can be somewhat like going to see Friday the 13th or something like that. So all kinds of stories I could share. But he goes in there and we meet with this doctor, and the doctor just wanted to help him. And the doctor walks up to him and goes, "Let me see." And he's like, "No!" And Tim like jumps back, "No!" And I'm like, "Tim," I go, "Dude, he just wants to help you." And he's like, no, get away. And he's literally like running away from the doctor. And then the doctor just like, "Hey," and he like in an effort to kind of make it look like he's calm, the doctor puts his hands in his big pouches, in his vest. And he goes, "I just want to help." And he comes closer, and Tim's like, "What do you got in your hand?" He's going to stick me with the needle. And he's like, Tim is like literally being chased or running around the room, like getting away from the doctor. I'm like, "What is wrong with you, man?" And I'm just thinking like, just allow him. Just give in. Finally, he did. Tim got healed. I remember in Manila, Philippines, getting my first general anesthesia, and that's another story for another day, but I remember getting hooked up, and I'm in Manila, and I remember lying down, looking up at the ceiling, and literally seeing peeling paint on the ceiling above me, and I'm like, I don't think that's good right there. And then they hooked me up, and I thought, they said, start to count back from 10. And I had this image of True Lies. You remember that movie, True Lies, with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where he got drugged, he's like, I'm going to fight it. And Arnold can fight it off. And so I thought, I'm going to fight it. And so I literally just thought, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to see how long I can fight it. I'm like, 10, 9. I literally was gone. I wake up and I'm in the little room. I'm like, whoa, who put this all over me? I'm losing berries right there. I mean, it was like there was no fight. But you just gotta allow it. You gotta let go and allow the doctor to do his work. Well, Jesus is the great physician. He not only finished the plan 2,000 years ago, but he wants to finish the plan in your life. He wants to finish the perfecting. He wants to finish the goal of it all for you right now. He wants to forgive you. And that's what happens when a person is first baptized. It's why we all go, amen, woo, we cheer, because we're literally watching sins just disappear, the wall between them and the Father broken down. I know we got a lot of college students studying the Bible. Some are very close to becoming Christians. Man, I'm so excited about they're all right here in this section. So many, so close. And that's the joy, man, when your sins are forgiven. You just go, wow. And you can hear Jesus say, it is finished in their life. We're watching sins be forgiven. But he doesn't end there. Then he wants to transform you over time through discipleship. His grace first contacts you and wipes away all the sin, and then he puts people in your life and gives you the Holy Spirit and the Word of God and his body just to help chisel you and refine you. You're made perfect in his eyes the day you're baptized. But we still look at you and go, not perfect yet. And you still got a ways to go. So he keeps working on us to chisel out his likeness in this big lump of concrete. And he's like chiseling out that pride and chiseling away that impurity and chiseling away that cynicism and that selfishness to where we can all begin to look more and more like him. That's what he wants to do. But then he doesn't end there. He wants you to be faithful to the very end, so that you can spend eternity with him in heaven. When a believer dies a believer, remember what the Bible says about that? How precious in his sight are the deaths of the saints. We mourn, and rightly so. We mourn the loss. I get it. It hurts. But how precious in his sight. Because again, from heaven, he says, it is finished. This one's coming home. And we're going to be together in heaven forever. That's what the great physician wants to finish in your life. So are you allowing Jesus complete access to every nook and cranny of your inner self? Or are you like Tim running around? I don't want to get with those Christians. I don't know if I want to come to church this week. Hey man, what are you trying to do with me? Hey, I had a bad experience with a doctor in the past. Are you dodging the doctor? Or are you allowing him complete access? Are you saying, okay, well, you can do anything, but you can't touch this area. Nobody can know what's going on in this side of my heart, or this side, it's not my heart, this side of my body. Nobody here, nobody can touch this area. Are you limiting areas that you're just not going to allow him access to? If you're resisting the doctor or protecting yourself from the great physician or hiding from the healer, he can't help you. And it's never going to be finished in your life. You're going to be one of those people that we go, hey, whatever happened to that guy? And whatever the answer, oh, he moved away. Oh, he started going to this church. Oh, we can give little practice. He got busy on Sunday. But the bottom line is going to be, he didn't allow Jesus to finish in his heart. Allow him by opening up your schedule. That's where it starts. You got to open up your schedule. You got to open up your schedule to read his word, to pray. It takes time. To get with other followers that can help you. To be with the body that can help you. Appreciate my buddy Isaac. Isaac is this guy that originally, I think it was Jose Romero, this brother in Los Angeles, met him and they studied the Bible. He went to church for a while in Los Angeles and then he contacted me. I was out in the woods and I get this text. I got up to like 12,300 feet and all these texts came in and I got this text and he's like, hey, where is your church? And I'm kind of like, I'll be honest, I was a little cynical. Like, is this somebody fishing? I'm like, fishing with a PA. Like, who are you? I go, I'm sorry, who is this? My name's Isaac. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't tell me a lot. I'm like, well, here's our church. I go, here's the website. I'll get back with you when I get back in town. And then I followed up with him. And then 2 weeks ago, he said he was going to come to church. And so it was about 15 minutes into church, and I picked up my phone. It wasn't just joy texting, but I was seeking and saving the lost right there. And so I picked up my phone, and I was sitting over there, and I thought, I'll ask him, are you here? But I thought, I don't want to pressure him if he couldn't make it today. But I picked up my phone, and then he says, I'm here. Before I even wrote anything, I'm like, hey, all right. And I said, I'm sitting next to my wife in a pink jacket. Where are you? And then he wrote back, I'm 4 people down from you. I asked him, I said, did somebody tell you where I was? He goes, no. He's just looking around for pink. He's like, oh, there he is. And then I waved, and I'm like, hey, all right, you're black. I didn't know what you were, and hey, and so then we met. He's from Ghana, and a great guy. And so he and Michael got together and studied the Bible that week, and now he's getting connected with Andre and Kenton and Alex Haley because he's over in Aurora. And his son Sean is 9, and they really enjoy coming here. It's great to have you here, Isaac. That's Isaac. Could you raise your hand there? All right, yeah, he's a great guy. But Isaac, I watch him just opening his schedule because he wants Jesus to finish the work in his life. Allow him by opening your heart. You got to open your heart. You can't just open your schedule, but you got to open your heart to people and to God. To get in there in the deep recesses. Remember that verse that says, surely you desire truth in the inner parts. You got to open wide your heart. Allow him by opening up your schedule. Allow him by opening up your heart. Allow him by opening up your life. What's really going on? What are you really feeling? What are you really fearing? What do you feel most guilty about? Whatever you're not open about will kill you. It's like having surgery and leaving a pair of scissors in there. Do you want that? You want to find that there was a tube that was left in you? How many times I hear those stories? Like we had disciples like in Mexico City, and this one leader, this one wife, like she had all these complications after this surgery. And then they find out months later they left a tube inside of her. Like, you don't want that. You go, oh, get it out. I don't want that tube in there. Get it all out. But is that your attitude about sin? Or do you just leave the tube? Hey, leave that tube there. I don't want anybody touching that tube. Don't talk about the tube. And you look at an x-ray, there's like a big tube in there. You're like, dude, you're going to die. Is it worth it? Open up your life. Let Jesus finish his work on you. Allow him. And finally, response to Jesus saying it is finished, imitate him. Imitate him. He finished strong. It got tough at the end. Man, he's pulling all-nighters in prayer. Remember at the end, in the beginning, it would say, he'd go off to pray. Then as his ministry went on, it said that he would often withdraw to lonely places where he prayed. And then as his ministry goes on and it's heating up a little bit more, the persecution's getting tougher. The stakes are getting higher. The emotions are running stronger. And then it says every evening he would go to the Mount of Olives. And then every morning, he returned to the people and give to the people. It was like every night, he's like, I need the Lord. I need the Lord. And he's really going after it there. He finished strong. He didn't want to go so far through his life and then compromise in the final days or the final hours. Will you finish strong? Will you imitate him and finish strong? The greatest successes in life often come to those who finish well. Think about it in basketball. You can tell by my height, I'm not a big basketball player. But I do enjoy basketball, and I love it when I see people just drive to the basket. And anyone can drive. Sometimes I'll play with the guys, and I'm like, I'm going to go in for a drive. And I can go crazy in for a drive, and it looks all cool. And I throw it up and barely hit the rim or something like that. And they go, oh, he's not a good finisher. It looked good. Oh, and it just drops. But you look at the people like Dwayne Wade or people like that you go, man, that guy finishes well. He drives in, and then it is in the basket. You see, they say that literally, he finishes well. Or you think about football teams who finish well. Maybe they're ahead and they know how to close it out. Or maybe they're behind and they know how to come back. Unlike my LSU Tigers this year, I'm man, they just do not know how to finish well. I'm hoping they can rally something before they have to kill Florida later on. Okay, so threw that in for Carlos right there. But you think about it with football, with students with grades. You can do good all semester. But that final's coming up and it's 40% of your grade. Will you finish well? Employees who take pride in every task they're given. What employer doesn't love an employee that takes every task seriously and meticulously? And just go, man, he's done everything well. He finishes every task he's been given very well. It works in every area of life, but especially spiritually. Look at this example. This is the best example of someone who finished well. Paul, 2 Timothy 4, the last letter he ever wrote. For I'm already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time for my departure is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. How inspiring is that? It was cool to see Jesus say it is finished. But then imitating, following right in his steps is Paul, saying, I have finished. He finished. How inspiring. Don't you want to say that? Really? Don't you want to say that at the end of every day? Or the end of every year? But especially at the end of your life. Wouldn't it be nice if you're blessed with, and I don't know, maybe you feel differently, but if you're blessed with a death where it's not too prolonged, but it's enough that you can gather your thoughts before you go. And to be able to end like a friend of some of ours, George Gerganis. And to be able to, he literally penned these words, But to be able to just say, I have fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. To be able to say like Jesus, it is finished. And then to hear him say in the world beyond, well done, good and faithful servant. Come share your master's happiness. Isn't that what it's all about? Don't you want to imitate him? Don't let any temptation, don't let any compromise, don't let any sin, don't let anyone distract you from that goal. It's just not worth it. It's the ultimate goal for each one of us and for all of us collectively. That we, like Paul, that we, like Jesus, can say on that final day, it is finished. Appreciate him, allow him, imitate him. And one day, by the grace of God, all of us can look him in the eye and look at our friends that are going on living and say, it is finished. God bless you.